Hi and welcome to episode 11 of Still I Rise podcast, and I'm here today with Baisat. We're actually in Dublin. I've travelled with my podcast, so it feels like extra.
Yeah, I think I was literally supposed to. I always said I was like, I'm gonna come to Belfast. I'm gonna come to Belfast, and I'm like, we're gonna do this, and then you end up coming over here. So
You should come to Belfast though. We'll do something.
I really want to.
We should do something.
I really want to. Yeah,
it's so
good.
good.
Those places.
So we came we've just had like about a 20-minute conversation about Dublin.
All the good content is gone, guys.
Exactly, it's gone. It's done. But like we talked about living in Dublin and living in Belfast, and like the size of Dublin and like where we are as cities is in some ways really similar, but in some ways it's so different.
Yeah.
Like whenever you're in Belfast, do you feel a vibe or an energy that's different or not?
See, the last time I've actually been to Belfast was when I was younger, but I think there was a time we were passing, like just going through Belfast to get to somewhere else, and I don't know, like it just seemed really, really busy. But it did seem like things were close together. Like at the when you cross the street, there's shops. There's shops like everywhere. A lot of people as well. So yeah, different, but like not crazy different.
It's like Dublin's kind of basic sister.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think because I grew up in Blanche, like if the place isn't crazier than Blanche, then it's just it's fine,
So tell me about Minorities Teacher Ireland. So we just spent about 20 minutes talking about businesses, which I think we should actually talk about because so I've been doing Still I Rise 5 years, always part-time. And what we were talking about there is like the exhaustion.
Yeah.
You work full-time. Tell us first of all about Minorities Teachers Ireland and what it is.
So essentially Minority Teachers Ireland is just an organization that I kind of randomly created, and I was kind of like just seeking out like other minority teachers in the full sense of it. So like in terms of race, religion, disability, the whole lot. And so I didn't really find as much as I thought I would, because that's what I kind of wanted to base the whole page off of. And then I just started talking about like things that I wish like people did in teacher training, that like kind of healed my younger self, if that makes sense. So I was doing a lot of like things on like what like racism in school and like things that would actually help with those sort of things. And then it developed into like, okay, there's not enough I can actually write on a post. Like I need to do like workshops as it may be. And like obviously I'm not an expert in race or I'm not though. And I only say this, I'm actually not an expert. I just love talking about these things. And
do you know what I heard the other day though? You're actually an expert when you've studied something or lived something for 10,000 hours.
Oh, wow.
So more or less, so typically, like someone could be really quick at becoming an expert and do it in like 5,000.
Yeah.
Or you could like be quite a slow burner. So that's why I think it's interesting. And also you have lived experience of being a minoritized, racialized person.
Yeah.
As a teacher and as a student.
I think that's probably why people like my page so much, because I think a lot of the time like there's a lot of stuff about like inclusion, EDI in general, and I think like it can be really like wordy, really complicated. There can be a lot of like theory and stuff that goes into it, and I think with Minority Teachers Ireland, what I want to do is like simplify that. Like, what can I? And I always ask myself like, what can I do tomorrow that would impact the child, like a minoritized child, positively in the classroom? And that's how I make my content. And like, yes, I'm telling you A, B, and C is happening, but I'm also giving you a solution. So something that you can implement easily as a teacher. And obviously going through teacher training, that's helped me to understand like, okay, this is happening in the classroom. There's a billion things going on. There's loads of needs. There's a lot. So yeah, I think that's helped.
And did you always want to be a teacher?
Yes. Yes. Like I think I can say that now, because I've wanted to be a teacher since I was 17 and I'm 24 now. So I think, yeah, I can say that. I think I didn't really choose to be a teacher in the way that loads of people choose, because like sometimes it's like through, oh, my parent, oh, my sister, or my partner wants to be a teacher, or they just see themselves as teachers, because that's who they see in the classroom. That's who represents them, you know. So I didn't really have that route, I guess. And I think like one of teacher I talk about a lot, and like she was my Quran teacher. It's kind of like a Bible study, but like a Quran study instead. And we used to go there on the weekends, and it was always really chatty. And she would just be like, "Okay, up you go, and you're gonna work with like the infants, in terms of like the Quran." And so I was like, this is not really a punishment. I kind of like this. And I was like, oh, I really like the essence of like teaching someone something new and working with children. So I was like, maybe this is the job I want to do. And yeah, that was pretty much it. But like, she's the first ever teacher that I seen, you know. So that meant a lot. That like just seeing like this Kenyan Muslim woman being a teacher gave me the the feeling that I could be a teacher as well. Even though I had like loads of good teachers growing up, I just never seen myself then until I seen her. So yeah, that was my kind of teacher journey.
I wonder, would you have become a teacher if it wasn't for her? Like, would you have ended up doing that anyway? So interesting, isn't it? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I think another interest I had was nursing, but like now looking back, I think I wouldn't have liked nursing at all. I wasn't really I'm not really a sciencey person. I am really like a humanities person. So like, yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't think I could have done any other job.
so representation obviously is so
Mm.
massively important. What was your experience like in school?
Um,
Was there teachers that looked like you in school here?
no, not at all.
Not even in like
N-
the community and different schools in like, not
No,
at all. Okay.
no. Like primary, the whole way up, all my teachers were white, and most of them were women. I did get two male teachers though. And then in secondary school, I went to a Catholic school, which is a whole other story. People were like, how does that make any sense? But it was the schools that were around at the time, so I went there. And then for secondary school, I went to Community National, and I think that's where I really kind of became me, or more of what I was going to become, because there was a lot of people who looked like me in that school, whereas I was the only black girl in my class in primary school. So it was definitely a big change. I think again, like the teachers, there were definitely way more like male teachers, which was great, but yeah, there was no like ethnically or religiously diverse teachers at all.
In primary or post primary?
Yeah, yeah.
That's not surprising, but interesting for
Mm.
the South, because I do think it is changing somewhat
It
now.
is,
But
yeah.
do you have classroom assistants down here?
Yes.
So it feels like certainly in the north, there's lots of classroom assistants coming in now that
Yes, yes, exactly.
aren't white essentially, which is
Mm.
really good. But a lot of them are trained as teachers, or they're trained as, but they need to do their training here,
Yeah, there's
which
a lot of
is,
barriers, I'd say. Like
yeah.
there's so many, and like I think also a lot of people like blame Irish for the reason for like there not being like enough ethnically diverse teachers and stuff like that. And I always say to people like, if that was the case, we'd have loads of secondary school teachers who are ethnically diverse, and there's just as little as there is with primary school. So I think that's not really the reason. I think there are other reasons. And like speaking to my friends, and like growing up as a student, like as a black and Muslim student in the schooling system here, you definitely understand why we don't go towards teaching. Like, it's a reason why we don't become guardies either, So it's really tied to that, and like your experiences, how you felt, and like, do you see yourself in these people? Do you ever see yourself becoming one? Like, what would you be like as one? You don't know, because you don't see yourself in any teachers. So
Yeah, and I kind of feel like if you became a guard, I think you'd be institutionalized.
yeah,
I
yeah.
genuinely think, like, I've seen it in the Met actually.
All
I
right.
knew someone in the Met, and the PSNI. I have a good friend, and he's in the PSNI, but he's also the head of black policing across the UK, and he is amazing because he just calls it out. Like, that's his job. He calls
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
And what are you willing to lose or to risk to break a barrier in a
Absolutely.
system or in an institution?
Absolutely. That's really it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
who's going to
Yeah.
do that?
It's tough as well. And like there is like I remember like when I was doing a few workshops with like student teachers and stuff, one of the things they were saying is like, when it comes down to like books that have the N word, and like they're still studied, and like, what do I do? I'm on placement, and like, how do I challenge it? I just want to get my grade and go. And I said, yeah, like, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you to like tell the teacher I'm not doing this. And I was saying to them, like, it's really difficult. Like, sometimes you're put in a position where you can't entirely like show your true feelings, but there's always ways around it. And like, one of the things I said to them is like, you know, even if you do have to do this text, obviously you as a teacher can take the conscious decision not to use the N word, and you as a teacher can also explain how like this narrative, while you're even studying the book, how this narrative doesn't completely like showcase like what black people went through at that time, and how it's not a full representation of black people and their struggles. And you can still put a twist on it. Like, there's always a way to make it your own, and there's always a way to like stand with your values, even if you can't do anything big and crazy, you know?
Yeah, because I sometimes wonder, like, is that systems are going to be, like the curriculum is going to be, there are stuff that we need to do as humans when we're employed, right? And sometimes I wonder, like, those books should not be on the curriculum.
Yeah.
Like, books with the N word should not be on the curriculum. But when you have to do it, is that an opportunity to be like, to speak your mind somewhat to young people and kids in the class, and use that as an opportunity to talk to them? Because the amount of times I've spoken to schools, and I'm not even like racially, like, I'm white, going into schools and being like, you don't understand that you cannot use the N word. Like, this is why, this is what it is associated with, this is the history. Two people who have literally been teaching for 50 years. But then you have kids who are seeing it in TikTok, seeing it in music. There was a teacher once asked me, but if black and brown kids are saying the N word to each other, how do we navigate that? What advice would you give when they say something like that?
I think at the end of the day, like, that's the one privilege they have and you don't. And, you know, tough, I guess. You know, like, I think it's their word to use. And although, like, I know kids like that age, even when they are black and brown, sometimes they just use it in a way that's like, like, it's just like, why? But it is their word to use. Like, it is their word to own. And like, it's the one privilege that they have over like you. And I think, just, if it was me, I leave them be, genuinely, unless it's offensive to, unless someone has said it to you that like, this is offending me that you're using that word with me. Like, there's some people who don't like that word being used with them, even though they're black and they know that it's been
Of course,
changed.
yeah.
There's people who like, no, I don't like that word being used, and they'll make it very clear. And so we'll, guessing the ages of 10 to 12 who are using it with each other, they'll make it very clear. But it's something that us in the black community do a lot. Like, we do use the word. Like, I use the word. Like, you know, sometimes there's different like meanings that it means to us when we're using it with each other. It can mean brother or man or friend, like, you know, like, but we know the meaning that it carries, you know, because we're black and we have that mutual understanding. So yeah, I say leave them be. It's their words.
That is fascinating and really, really interesting, because it's such a hard thing to navigate. And guess what the pushback is going to be? It's going to be like, yeah, but like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
That's racism against white people.
Yeah.
I've heard that, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard it as well. Have you?
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's really important for us to have these conversations and to create that nearly culture of understanding of when a racially minoritized person tells us what this feels like and looks like to them, that's okay.
Yeah.
Instead of the whole, yeah, but what about Ray, and what about this, and what about that? And that's
it's also
why,
like policing of the word itself. Like, why are you policing a word that's not even for you? You know, like,
and I do that. I know I do that, because I know the impact that it has on Elliot, right, on my son, and he'll come home and say it, and then now he's at the age where he's like, just leave it. Like, if it doesn't offend me, it's okay. Like, just leave it. And that's where I think I do. There's parts of me, because of who I am and my conditioning, I think I'll always be sectarian and I'll always be racist, which is so crazy to say, but it's the systems that I feed into every single day. So I can do as much anti-racism training as I want, but I feed into white supremacy by existing in a world built for white people of power. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
unless I'm
absolutely.
actively deconstructing and I have my moments of doing it, I just think it's there in my DNA and how I show up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it shocks people when I say that, but I am more racist than not racist.
Interesting.
Do you not think?
Yeah, I mean, no, we've had many conversations, so like I wouldn't have even thought of you to be even near that world, but find it really interesting that like your own
Yeah.
critical lens of yourself is like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
like things will come to my mind, assumptions will come to my mind about not white people from bias, from like unconscious bias. That word gives me the ick, but like just for the context of this, like because of what society feeds me every day,
yeah,
it's always
yeah.
going to be there. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think.
I think that's really interesting as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, yeah.
Same as like sectarianism, like I've always lived through like segregated north of Ireland, Northern Ireland.
Yes.
So like I was saying to a guy, and I did another podcast this morning. Amazing. In fact, I can just say who it is because it'll be out. It's a guy called Jay Chambers, and he's a dub poet and an author. And like he talks all about his heritage is Jamaican, so he talks all about like identity, about culture, about nature. So he talks about like how he was making a record, and he makes films too, documentaries.
Oh,
So
amazing.
yeah, really good. I'll get you his book actually. I should have brought it with me. But he was talking about like how I've gone off on an absolute tangent again. I do this. Yeah, talking about like grounding. So he was going to meet this producer, and like this has nothing to do with like racism or anything, but he was going to meet a producer, and the producer, instead of like normally people would be like, oh, and you know, what's your theme for the thing? What's your music about? What's this? What's that? But the producer was like, so what do you like doing? Like, what's your family like? What stories do you like? Like, what kind of energy do you like? Do you like nature? And then they had a conversation for like 2 hours about anything but music. And then the producer was like, okay, I'll work with you. But every morning he made him get up and ground himself. So like take off his shoes and socks and just stand in the grass before he started filming or working, right? And it made me, isn't it? I want to work with people like that, because in my head, and that was where I was going with this, is that in my head, a hip hop dub poet producer is going to be sitting in a fancy office with like bling and like smoking, and like that is not the case.
Yeah.
So it's like challenging all these norms. Black people in nature, we don't see that here in Ireland anyway.
We really don't actually, because I think a lot of the time as well, I remember even a few weeks ago, I went for a hike with my friends in Glendalough, and it was just like, it was really funny because we were just like, wow, look at us, like 10 Black people in nature, having fun, just doing our thing. And like simple things like that. I know it's like really simple. People go on hikes like every other day. But for us, it's just like, this is nice. Like, this is something different. Like, Black people don't really do hiking. We don't do outdoorsy nature stuff. And like, it was really weird, but also really funny how we just made it into like, this is like such a main character moment. Like, we're in, like, look at us in the nature. Like, we're so amazing kind of thing. And I just found it really funny.
It's so interesting. And I don't know if you know Angel Artura, do you? You should follow her. She's from Belfast. Her dad is Black, her mom is white. Her dad is amazing. So he's like, he moved to Ireland, I think it's 25 years or maybe 30 years. Fluent in Irish in the north. He's fluent in Irish.
Ooh,
he does like dancing.
Yes.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
But Angel is an influencer, but she did hot yoga. She does sea swimming. She would talk about like, why am I the only Black woman in the sea? Like, Black people swim. Like, what is going on? And that was something that like we all are. And I don't know if whenever you were in Glendalough, did people look at you because they were like, oh my God, I've never seen a Black woman with a hijab hiking. But it does exist.
Yeah, I mean, like to an extent, like
maybe not.
We didn't get like loads of looks or anything, but I think because we're also like a big group and like, geez, I think we were even disturbed in nature because we had like a speaker and everything. I think we were the worst visitors. Like we had.
What was it for? Just for the crack?
Yeah, just like music, and we just wanted to like listen to music and like very, very strange. And I know people were thinking, why on earth? It's quiet. Like, why are we being so loud? But I think that's how we exist in nature. It's like how we want to be in nature. So yeah, I thought it was really interesting.
It's amazing. It's so funny. So then, what impact does Minority Teachers Ireland make? I can see the impact from the outside. Have you ever heard of on the balcony and on the dance floor?
No,
I
never.
talked about this before. So it's all about like whenever you're running a business, because you have a business, like you are an expert, I think, but I'm not going to tell you what you are. And whenever you're running a business, so like what we were talking about before, like it's like thinking of posts and like thinking of content, thinking about what's happening in the world. How do you do it? How do you get your audience? How do you get people to pay for your work? How do you get repeat customers? So with that's on the dance floor where you're just in the thick of it all the time, and like it is just doing all the things. And on the balcony is whenever you step back. So whenever you're bigger, maybe whenever, well, actually you could do it now. Whenever you have staff, whenever you can just sit and look down on it. So it's like looking at your analytics, look at what works, look what doesn't work, like what kind of tone are you using, what language are you using, where could you go from that? So it's all about kind of looking in on your business. So if you're like in it now, I look at your business as a consumer. So as a client, like I have worked with you, but I've also attended your trainings. And I see the impact that you make. I see the need for it. And I think people, so your training that I did was on Islamophobia. People are terrified to go to that, I think.
I think so.
Aren't they? Do you get that vibe?
I think when I was doing, there's so many notes from what you said, but I'll go to this one first. I think when I was doing like anything on like the Black and mixed experience, people are more likely, or they kind of want to go to that, like they don't mind going to that. But I fear for the Islamophobia one, people don't want to go. And I wonder, is it like a huge reality check? Is it this thing where people think I'm going to indoctrinate them or something? Like I wonder, I just wonder what it is. Like I think today anyways, I'll try and get feedback and be like, what made you like want to like be a part of this, and what kind of scared you away, what held you? And it's like, because it's a lot, you know. But yeah, maybe it's the title. Like there's so many things that I can't quite figure out why people are very like hesitant to do this workshop, you know. So I think that's the thing. Another point I was gonna make as well is like I don't know, in my head, like it low key gives me the ick when people call it a business. I know that's really funny, but like I just get so icked at it because my main goal isn't to make money. Genuinely, no. I know that sounds weird.
No.
But genuinely, it's actually not to make money. It's actually just to share the gift I feel like I've been given, to share with others and to share like the experiences with others, and like ultimately to actually make experiences better for children in school, because they deserve that. At the very least, they deserve that. I think the reason, and one of the reasons I learned that like charging for my work is important is because like there's the world takes so much from Black and brown people already. Like they take so much for free. They take our talents, they take our features, they take so much from us. And for me, not charging for the information, and also like I put a lot of hard work into a lot of like posts and reels and workshops that I do. I care about my work. It's not just like I'm just putting it out there, you know, and seeing what happens. Like it is genuinely something I care about, but also yeah, I just it wouldn't be a good reflection for me to be like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to be better to people like me, and then not like charge. You know what I mean? Like just at least the basics for my labor. So that is actually one of the only reasons I charge. And the second reason is that like I can give money to charity. Like whoever signs up, it's something that charity is really, really like a core like value and belief for me, like both religiously but also like just in general. Like giving back is like one of the most important things I think people should do or can do, even if it's like a fiver a month, you know. So for me, like when I do a workshop, it's always like some percentage of it is always going somewhere. So like it'll go to one charity or the other, whether it's one based in Ireland or it's across the world. So that's also another reason I charge as well. So when people, that's why I'm saying like people say it's a business, I'm like,
is it a business though? Is it a registered business?
No.
And is it like a social? Is it anything? It's just
I don't know, like it's very hard to. I think a lot of people said that like where would really fall is it being a social enterprise.
mm,
But even that, like I always call it an organization, and like when people even call it that, I'm like, oh, it's just me though,
yeah,
you know. So I don't know. I haven't really come to where I really want it. Like I think I'm definitely trying to avoid the business world as a whole because I don't want anyone to like change my values or change the way I do things. And like I've had those people be like, oh yeah, like you know, if like you join with us, we can do this and we can do that and we can take the platform bigger and we can. And I'm kind of like, no, I'm okay because I know when it gets to that stage, something has to give. And that might be me telling the truth or being completely honest in my workshops, or that might be me like, you know, appealing to audiences and sugarcoating my message, and that's not for me. So, yeah.
yeah. That's it. There's a level of like growth and power and capitalism where, yeah, you're right. You just lose yourself, and that's terrifying
Yeah.
as someone who does what you do. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I love about your workshop is that it's such an open book. Like I love the Q&A at the end where it's like you don't even like you can literally ask. And I've asked you stuff. Like you've ended up being my dating coach like a couple of times because I've just been like, I want to ask you something so random. But like I think like even as someone who does inclusion work, there is so much that like I want to know about Islam, about what's appropriate, what's appropriation, what's appreciation, like what is, you know, just parts of the culture that when we're working with children who are Muslim specifically and all other faiths and beliefs and religions, how do you really include everyone's culture and respect? Culture probably respectfully is the way to do it. And it's interesting because even down to like what I wear when I'm presenting or whenever I know that there's going to be like, I still have that nearly, is it assumption, maybe it is assumption or stereotype that like I maybe shouldn't dress a certain way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that's probably a bit, is that Islamophobia? I don't know. Like maybe it is a bit like making an assumption that like I can't show up in a certain way. Do you know, does any of that make sense?
No, it totally does.
Does it?
It totally does. Yeah. Yeah.
And how to like not center, not become so aware of how I show up in a space. I will say Muslim children just for the conversation. How do I show up without making them feel like, without othering them by accident? If that makes sense. Like,
absolutely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, and there has, I don't know about the south, but there's been a sharp rise in Islamophobia in the north.
Definitely.
Probably the same because of the anti-immigration sentiment.
I think it's so frustrating because like that's actually one of the reasons I push the Islamophobia workshop so much, just because like so much is tied to it. Like honestly, if you understand Islamophobia, you will understand why the anti-immigration sentiments are targeting specifically Indian people. You'll understand that. You'll also understand why the genocide in Palestine is not recognized. You'll understand why, like, you know, people from different faiths, like, for example, using Christianity as an example, just because I have a lot of friends who've talked about this before, you'll understand why Christians, like, some practicing ones, are like, no, I can't support Palestine, you know, and because of how it's tied to like religious beliefs and like scripts and things like that. So like it's one of the reasons I push it so much, because there's so much power in understanding Islamophobia and understanding Islam as a whole. I think as well, like if you can be respectful to Muslim people, I'm telling you, you can be respectful to any other religion. Like there's no religion that's gonna shock you and you be confused at how to act, you know? So I definitely think that's a thing as well. I love the way you mentioned the Q&As. Like I think questions are important. I think people are scared to ask questions, and like they're questions that people would never ask to like my face, which is obviously like fine, you know, like people are just scared to offend. They're scared to offend, and I think somewhat social media has come like has come and been the cause of that, because like people are afraid to like be cancelled, or for things to be shared, or for people to lose their jobs. And not many people lose their jobs due to racism or Islamophobia. Let's be fair. But
no, they get promoted.
yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. It's like, well done, you've done great, literally. So
it's so bad.
but like it just, I think people are afraid to ask questions, and that's my thing as well. Like I think people should be able to ask if you're coming, especially if you're paying for something. And I appreciate anyone who ever pays to like come to any of my things, because it's like you're spending your money. I think we're, as like we talked about, like living in a capitalist world, nobody wants to spend their money. And like I make my workshops cheap.
They're
Like
cheap.
I make them like cheaper than the pizza, cheaper than your roll from Centra.
Cheaper
like,
than existing for a day in Dublin.
Yeah, yeah. I make
And
them
you
cheap.
get so much out of it. Like that
Yeah.
is the thing. You really do. And it's like planting a seed.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait till there's another one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like levels of it. Because I think that, like, you have your, when did I do your one? It must have been a year ago, was it?
I think so.
Or less?
Yeah, no, it was a year ago, and I think it was like October. Was it October time? Sometime like November, that season.
Yeah, I think it was.
That whole season.
Is there a step up? Will there be a step up, or do you keep doing, like I always think, doing it like at least once or twice a year is probably ideal anyway for like refresher? What do you think?
I do tend to do the same one, because I feel like loads of people come away being like, I did not know any of this. And so like I have thought about like a part 2. I've even thought about part 3. I think a part 2 would be in the workplace. I think a workplace edition would blow the minds of employers. Like I really think that like they could step up their inclusion strategies, and they could have like staff who are genuinely like really happy, especially from Muslim faiths, to be here, just because of like small tweaks that don't even cost money.
That's it. And like it makes you money. Like it literally makes you more profitable. I know that's not the point, but like if you make small things. But the thing I find about businesses is when people come to your workshop, they want to be there. So they want to know, they're curious, they like might ask questions, they might stay quiet, but they want to be there. And generally they're invested in you and what you do. Businesses, so many people don't care. They don't want to know.
Yeah.
They could be Islamophobic anyway. They could be racist anyway. So it's like how once you can tap into that, it's incredible.
But I feel like a change is like even if you do have certain like, even if someone is Islamophobic, I feel like sitting in like a lecture hall hearing about how it's like wrong, and I feel like that would even like change a little bit of your mind, or make you at least question one or two of your beliefs, So I think that's it. Like I think my Islamophobia workshop probably is one of my favorite ones, because I think there's just so much people don't know. I'd love to do a workplace edition. I think if I did a third part, it's an introduction to Islam at that point. So probably not to that extent, but I'd love to do a workplace like session and go more into the whys if people would be interested in that, But I feel like also when it comes to like explaining why we do stuff, it's also like your own. I don't know if I'd make that into a workshop. I genuinely think that's your own like.
Yeah,
it goes too deep into the whole faith questioning kind of thing, rather than me just being like, here, the information,
Like, because the way Islamophobia shows up here on the island of Ireland, is it really Islamophobia, or is it other things?
I think it's Islamophobia.
I'll tell you
why.
Okay, go.
Okay, so I won't say theory, but like obviously we've seen loads of the attacks on like the Indian community.
Yes.
And a lot of it is, I'm like, this questioning is just like, why are they not attacking Black people? That's number one. But number two, it's majority Muslim, not Muslim men, but like it's majority Indian men. So you're either seeing Indian men or you're seeing women with hijabs. So I think a lot of the assumption that people have is that, okay, they're Indian, they must be a Muslim person. I think the assumption that like every Muslim looks like an Indian or an Arab person is their assumption. So for them, there's lots of stereotypes. Like we've heard a lot of them, like that they are attacking women and they're attacking children and stuff like that. And that's a belief that they have, like that people from Asia do that, and a lot of Asians are Muslim. I generally think that's the tie between it. And even when I'm on TikTok, a lot of the time, if I'm getting like any abuse, a lot of it, and you've seen it, most of it has nothing to do with my color. Most of it has to do with the fact that I'm Muslim and I have a hijab on. Like that's majority, maybe like 80% of the hate I would get online is because I have the hijab on and nothing else, you know. So I fear it is the just the idea of Islam. And you probably heard, oh my God, they're bringing Sharia law to Dublin, and like if you let them pray and all this like
It's so
crap.
wild. It's so, yeah, I've seen you on TikTok and like you go in and I just don't engage because I'm like, honestly, my time is quite precious and I just don't have time. Like I will rarely engage. And I think it's amazing. How can you be bothered? You're so committed to what you do that you actually engage with them. But I'm just like, do you know what? Like these people do not deserve to get educated right now because they're not in the space right now. I'm quite new to TikTok, so there are some people who will genuinely ask questions, which I'm prepared to answer because it comes from a place of curiosity. But I remember when we posted the video, or I don't know if you can collaborate on TikTok, can you? Maybe not. The video of you talking at Epic Museum.
Yeah.
And there was so many comments on it, and it was like, these are trolls. No matter what you say, you can't change them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not prepared to give my time for that. And that's a privilege, you know? But you're like educating them.
I
like
think,
that
yeah, I
is-
think a lot of them, I think sometimes I feel that the comments that people more so make about like Islam and like my faith almost annoys me more than, you know, comments made about my skin color. Do you know what I mean? Because like a lot of them, like honestly, a lot of them are just absolute like misinterpretations. They're just like rumors, they're stereotypes, they're things that are not even true. And it frustrates me that like that type of information goes around the internet and like makes you target people who I know from being in that community are like one of the best people ever. You know, one of the best communities that care about women, that care about children, that you know care about charity and want to help people, and that's the core of the religion itself. So, yeah, it does frustrate me because it's just like, where are you getting this information from? Like, who is telling you these things? You know, so yeah.
Yeah, and I think it is so important to arm with facts. Like that's it. Like these are the actual facts, and there is an alarming rate of attacks on Indian men in the south. And I've seen comments about Indian men in the north, and I didn't even think about Islamophobia. Like I just didn't.
I 100% knew it was tied to that. Like their idea is like, oh, Indian, Pakistani, okay, they have to be Muslims because you know they have dark hair and they have beards sometimes, and like I personally I think that's what it is. You know, because yes, it is racism at its core because most of these people that have been attacked are not even Muslim, but I think it's the fear of like just they seem to be some type of poster boy or poster race for Muslim people, like you know. So I think that's why they're being targeted. But yeah, it's frustrating. The whole thing is just frustrating, and it's really annoying to see like a lot of people defending it as well. Like you know, and the double standard that we have in Ireland as well. Like you know, um, and it comes to a point where like you're scrolling and you see a crime has been committed and you're like, oh my God, please do not let it be a black or brown person, because then everyone's like, yeah, we're all the same and like we all need to be kicked out. And it's like people commit crimes regardless of their race, regardless. Like it literally doesn't matter if someone is not a good person, or maybe if someone has made a mistake, they make a mistake regardless of their race, you know. So yeah, it's just annoying.
And when you actually look at the stats, and I'm speaking from the north, it's white straight men. Like it's white, straight, cisgendered Christian men. And I think it's just people are so frustrated with other things going on in the world, and it's just so easy to like target the most vilified.
I think, but I also think it's like common sense to just be like, is this like, I think the attacks on Indian men or Indian people, I should say, should show like people like, is this right? Like, would it be even if we do think all those things about them, is it right to like go out and like
unprovoked, unprovoked and beat too? And there's been a sharp rise recently, hasn't there?
There has, yeah. I think the government is letting people get away with it at this point, because I'm so sorry. Like even with the case that happened here in Tala, like it was really frustrating to hear that, oh yeah, like they're like the Gardaí are aware of it, like they know that there's gangs, 16-year-old boys in like what, like tech tracksuits? Okay, very scary. And like, are you telling me you can't go out and catch them? People that go home back to their moms and dads at the end of the day, like after they've done that, like, are you telling me you can't catch them? It's ridiculous. And it's just, is it that we're afraid to like prosecute these people because they're, they're young white men and we don't want to ruin their lives? And like, it's just like, well, they're hurting people. They're hurting people. Some have murdered people, and it's not okay. So I kind of wonder, does the government care? Do they care? Do they want to care? Like, are they okay with the scapegoating of people? Like, because it's hurting people now. Like, it's different where it's just like abuse on the internet. It's different where someone could actually go out to Lidl to get milk and they're having their head bashed in. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's crazy.
That's it. Like, it's literally life and death now. Like, that is it. Yeah, it's terrifying. So what can we do as, because how do you influence someone who thinks like that, who knows that their kids are, I mean, the kids aren't licking it off stones. There's stuff going on at home. Like, do we try and influence the far right, the Islamophobes, the racists? How do we navigate that?
I personally think the work to stop these attacks, yes, we have the far right. And like a lot of people, and one thing that used to annoy me when people say is like, oh yeah, but like it's not the majority, it's the minority, it's the minority. And you know what? It very may be the minority of people who are far right and who have like these white supremacist views. Like, I would agree it's probably the minority, but there's loads of people who are just sat and looking and like, oh, that's terrible. Okay, anyways, oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened. And just like, yeah, but what are you doing? Like, what are you sharing with your friends and family? What conversations are you having? What are you telling your kids? Are you even talking to your kids about it? Because I think loads of people think, oh yeah, like, sure, the kids don't see all that, and like, yes, they do. Like, yes, I do. I've been in a sixth class classroom during a placement. I've heard what kids talk about.
What age is that?
That would be like 12, 11.
Yeah,
13
I mean,
even.
come on, yeah.
13 at a max.
There's access, isn't there?
And like, they're talking about the same stuff I see on my feed. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, if they're seeing that, then they're seeing the rest of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they're seeing like the attacks, like the Dublin riots. Like, I think I was working in a school at the time, and there was a girl in second class said that she was scared to come to school. It's like, how did she see that? She has older siblings. They were talking about it. She heard it. Like, she passed it on to the rest of her second class classmates. Do you know what I mean? So kids are aware of what's going on. They may not understand the full gravity, but they understand that people are getting attacked for being a certain race and a certain religion. So it's just, for me, it's just like the ordinary non people who are not racist. We don't even need to care about the far right. The people who are not racist need to be doing the work. They need to be standing up and doing something, because at the end of the day, you're only a step above them. If you're not doing anything about what's going on right now, you're one tiny step above being someone from the far right, and that's the truth.
100%. It's like, what was it Martin Luther King said about the white moderate? I can't even remember the quote, but like, I think something about being the most dangerous, or being really dangerous, being the white moderate, because we do hold the power. And like, we saying nothing is neutrality, which is siding with the oppressor.
That's why I always say, like I always say this on my personal Instagram. I said I will actually respect a racist, because a racist is gonna be like, I'm racist, I hate you because of the color of your skin, blah blah. So I know where you stand. So I'm not gonna go anywhere near you. But the people who are in the middle and pretending and being like, oh, that's so terrible, but then they're the ones doing the microaggressions, and then the ones, I'm not racist, you're making a big deal, you're doing all this, and it's like, yeah, but you're worse, because I thought you were for me. I thought you were in support of people who look like me, and now you're switching. The tables are flipped. Those people I'm scared of actually the most, because you don't know how to trust them, and I've actually had too many encounters where I'm genuinely scared to trust people. Like, if you are not anti-racist, like if I can't tell that you're anti-racist, then I don't want to go anywhere near you, because I don't know what you're gonna do to me in under the covers. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know what a far righter will do, but I don't know what you're gonna do. So I think people have a lot to think about, because I said it as well. Like, the teenagers that are going out, like, we can like try and blame all the like And it really annoys me as well, people blaming all the like always the disadvantaged areas. They probably come from disadvantaged homes. They're not loved. And it's like, no, that's not true. It's not true. There's loads of those like teenagers who come from homes where they have their two parents, they have money, they're going home to their Xboxes and like a fresh hot plate of food at night. Like they're not being abused. Their mammy loves them, and like it's just they're just going out and they're seeing what's going on TikTok and doing that. So people are not expecting their children to do that, and that's exactly why they're doing it. That's exactly why they're getting away with it, you know, because you're saying, "Oh, my child could never." But like, have you ever sat down and talked to them about like race or racism or their own privilege and what parts they have to play, you know? So I think people need to be doing more.
100%. That's exactly it. Like Trump, Musk, the extremists are definitely like the safest, like the safest. And that's it. Like the DUP, you know exactly what they think. So when you're sat in front of them, you know what they think of you deep down. And it's like the amount of people that I know, the amount of parents, the amount of teachers, the amount of people that work on the curriculum, create our curriculum, that support inclusive spaces, that have never once done an anti-racism training, that don't know the vocabulary to use in race when talking about race, that don't know what age kids are when they see colour, when they make decisions about caregivers. And there's such a fear around it, but there's such an entitlement around it. It's like, no, but I have this job, so I'm a principal of a school, so
like,
you know,
why would I? How could I? And it's like, yeah, but like, I don't know, like everyone has their own
that's
like,
it.
but like newsflash as well, like children see color from like probably 3, 4. Like I've worked with infants before. They 1,000 and billion% see color.
100.
They know what color I am.
Isn't it 3 months?
No, they
like genuine. I think it's like between 3 and 6 months they start to like gravitate.
Like they see it, they process it, and they process like things to do with it as well. Like it's infants will teach you that, because I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, no, like nobody knows what race. Everyone is like the same, and not true. Like children are very, very aware of it. Like I've worked with infants where they'd ask me like, oh, like how are you that color? And like not even in like, obviously they're babies, they're not racist, but like in more so like a way like, wow, I've never seen a person like you before. And like I've had children smell me and like tell me that, oh, like is my skin like chocolate? And like how? Like they just have this like, how? What's going on? Why do I have like clear or like white palms? And I'm like, actually, I don't even know that. So that's a really good question. But I've had them ask me so many like things where I can't even process myself. Like they don't even see, most of the time children do not see my hijab. Like I think because the absence of it, they're like, okay, she doesn't have hair, and that's fine. So for them, they're like, okay, we'll not even process that. She's just wearing a permanent hat, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And then literally, they have they just don't care about the hijab, but the skin, they just really, really want to know. Like I've had a child ask me, like, are you like brown all over? And I'm like, yeah, it's not just like a deep tan on the surface level. So like it's really interesting, you know, but like they absolutely do see it and they notice it and they want to know like what's going on.
Which is amazing. And if we could like kind of grasp onto that curiosity.
Yeah.
And that's again like coming back to your Q&As where it is asking, like obviously they're not going to ask those types of questions.
Of course.
But it's coming at it with, well, do you know what, if I get cancelled, if I come across bad, then that's on me. Like I need to step into this discomfort because I need to do the learning. And how many people have that opportunity to ask a Black Irish hijab wearing Muslim? Like that is intense, Baisat. Like that is like digging into stuff that like is potentially traumatic for you and that you're giving back to people who we don't deserve it, like really, because we can go and do the work online, but paying like a certain amount to ask, I don't know, it's interesting. And do people actually ask the hard questions?
I think I've gotten like, I haven't necessarily gotten like tough questions where I haven't gotten tough questions in the way that like I've ever been offended by a question. Again, I'm very like, when I say I'm doing an anonymous Q&A, I'm very well prepared for people to ask something that could offend me. And I always say like people, because like, again, anyone who's in that workshop I'm not that I'm going easy on you, but like you've paid to be here. You actually want to learn. So I'm not gonna stand here and like criticize you and be like, you don't know this and you can't ask this, and it's not supposed to be like that. Like you want to learn. So I'm obviously I feel like I'm obliged to be like nice to you, and I feel like I'm obliged to like allow you to ask questions that led you here. I think one of the toughest questions I've ever gotten was when I was working. Like I obviously did a session because I knew I always wanted to also bring that message of anti-racism and allyship to like students as well. I finally got to work with secondary school students on this, and like I think their questions were probably the hardest that I've answered. Like, what do you do if this is happening? Like, if it's happening with a teacher, and that was a hard question for me to answer because the, that that version of myself, like the 16-year-old Baisat, would have been like, I don't know. And even me right now, it's hard for me to answer because I wasn't the type of person who would have spoken out and would have been able to like even pinpoint what racism was. I didn't understand it then. I knew there was a difference in behavior on how like teachers would treat us and things that they would say to us. Like sometimes they'd be like, oh, that's not, doesn't sound right, doesn't fit right. But I didn't know it was racism. My parents didn't talk about racism. We didn't know that all those things are like microaggressions and like tone policing. We had no idea. So those were the hardest questions that I've ever had to answer because like my grown self can't fit into the being of a 16-year-old and know what do I actually do in this scenario. So I'd say those are the hardest ones, but other than that, nothing really phases me, to be honest.
It is such a privilege to have that open space and for people to learn through you, through someone who's willing to share, because it is sacred.
Yeah.
Like your identity is sacred, your religion is sacred. Like it's great. So Minority Teachers Ireland is on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes.
What is the future then? I'm so intrigued, and it's absolutely none of my business, but we're on a podcast. But like, what will happen with Minorities Teacher Ireland? Will you continue to be a teacher and create content and share insights, or you don't know? Or
ideally, that's what I'd like to do. Like, I think if I had like a big dream, I'd love to completely like work with secondary school students. Like, I'd love to like do more anti-racism and allyship like sessions with them because that really changed me. Like, that really fulfilled me, knowing that like a lot of them, I could see their brains ticking, see their brains working. I could see them like thinking, and like that's them remembering that. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to be stuck now, they're going to be like a freedom fighter or anything, but I'm saying that like they have that now, they have those skills, and like they're going to go into the future and be able to challenge that a little bit, or they might have more interest. So I think the future for me is like I love working with teachers, and I think that's great, but I think working with children, working with students, that is what I really want to do. That's my core. So it's why I'm continuing and like with teaching. And I obviously this is coming out in 3 weeks, so like I'll probably have said it by then. So it's why I'm back in the classroom. And that's the ultimate goal. I want to work with students on this. I want to like go into schools. I want to give talks. I want to have like groups for even minority groups, and it's something I did trial it, but I haven't quite tweaked it as to what would work perfectly yet. But I want to have like groups where I can sit down with minority children and just be like, okay, so how are you finding it? What are you struggling with that I can help you with so that you don't have to go through the same thing I did? Not even just in teaching, across the board with life, across the board with work, giving them tips on work. That would have saved me. Genuinely, knowing not to say too much, that would have saved me. So yeah, there's a lot that I want to do, and I think students are the future.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
100%. It's amazing. Well, maybe when this comes out, there will be another date for another Islamophobia session. Maybe not. No, in a month. Well, keep an eye on
I wish. Yeah, like honestly, it's something I really like to do, but I think people are still scared, and they're so resistant, or maybe they think they don't need it, or so I need to figure that out a little bit, and I think when I do, then there'll be one.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
You've
for
been
having
amazing.
me.
No worries.